you for just a second because I really want to get to the crux of the matter before I run out of time, because I do want to ask you these questions.
I'll stay for as many segments as you have, Carol.
Thank you so much. Do you know exactly who was advising Mr. Trump on this executive order? Because we hear it was Steve Bannon, who served in the Navy, 30 years ago, has no governmental experience, no experience in Homeland Security or defense. Is that who was advising Mr. Trump on this matter?
You know, I wasn't in the room. Were I to advise the president, I might have been more narrow in the number of countries initially, but I'm deeply concerned that we've got to get the Syria policy right.
Does that concern you, that Steve Bannon was advising the president and he didn't reach out to lawmakers like you? You're on the Foreign Relations Committee.
Well, I don't know that it was Steve Bannon again. Look, the president is trying to react to a crisis that has been ongoing for a period of time. And, you know, as I travel around the world, I was in Davos for the World Economic Forum, and there's one thing that we know as Americans.
Does it concern you that he's not consulting lawmakers when he does these things? Does that or his defense secretary or his Homeland Security secretary?
You know, Carol, you know what concerns me? He doesn't have a Secretary of State because the Senate won't do its job. The fact
deflection.
Is,
he has a defense secretary. Yes, he
Chuck
does.
Schumer. No, this is
and
the
he
State
has a
Department.
Homeland Security secretary.
Carol, this is he's had him for about a day. This is, in fact, in no small part because Chuck Schumer has deliberately slow-rolled the rollout of the people the president needs. He needs those people confirmed.
So should he have waited then for the Secretary of State to be confirmed so he could have consulted with Rex Tillerson?
You know, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, used 2 B-2s to bomb with less than a week left in his administration. You are the president every day you're the president. He made a decision, and I'll tell you, I'm used to traveling around the world and knowing there are 2 mistakes Americans are blamed for, what we do and what we fail to do. But I would rather deal with what the president's doing and make adjustments than to have a president who does nothing. We need to deal with a massive refugee problem.
Just to be clear, it is okay that the executive order was rolled out and chaos ensued. There were protests all across the country. The Department of Homeland Security didn't know quite what to do. American businesses were thrown into a state of confusion because they employ many of these green card holders.
Carol, you're delivering opinions. You're delivering opinions.
This is what happened.
Carol, I listened to CNN this morning. I watched. This morning, basically you said out of 300,000, you had 100 people who were detained for a period of time.
That's what the Trump White House is sending out.
Carol, I go through security every single week, at least twice a week. The TSA cannot get a standing order that's been around for years as consistent as less than 0.1% that had some confusion. The fact is, 100 out of 316,000 is not a lot of people to go through a secondary. Would we prefer that it be... No. Would we prefer it be 0? Of course. But any American who's flown through an airline in the last years knows that you're more likely to have confusion and secondary detaining than that ratio.
It was okay for Iraqi interpreters who helped us during the wars and were heroes, by the way, and saved many American lives. It was okay that they went through some temporary hardship because in the end this was a good...
Carol, we brought in 2 Iraqi murderers and had them, I think, in Kentucky because we didn't have a good vetting process. Those interpreters want to be safe in America. They've helped America. I know
and I understood that act, and I understand what you're saying, but that's not what I'm asking you right now.
What you're asking is it in fact possible to never catch anyone with some secondary confusion? You know, I deal with my office every day with people who are unfairly stopped coming into this country, green card holders, Chinese American UC Berkeley grads who a fast pass and get a secondary every single time. Lebanese Americans living in Houston who go through a secondary every single time.
But isn't it our government's job to solve those problems without the chaos?
Carol, I don't want to argue, but you're conflating what happens every day to people of this color every day at the airports and have been happening for 16 years. When you take these anecdotal examples, that's what you're doing. The numbers are relatively small. I think Americans like myself who have been stopped, even as a congressman, secondary checked, or even refused to be boarded on an airplane once, this sort of thing happens. The question is the core question of dealing with countries that we do not have good diplomatic relations with, we do not trust, We cannot verify the documents of these people. Is a reset and a slowdown appropriate? The president thinks so.
Okay.
And the sooner he gets a Secretary of State, the sooner he'll have an additional advisor. He needs those advisors. Chuck Schumer should be ashamed of himself for not providing those advisors in real time. It needs to happen now, and the Senate needs to do its job and stop stalling.
Right. Congressman Darrell Issa, thank you for sticking around. I do appreciate it.
Anytime, Carol.